Hello, my name is Mucho Balinda. I am a student at the University of San Diego in the Cybersecurity Operations and Leadership program. Today, we'll be talking about cyber threats intelligence. We will start by defining what cyber threat intelligence is. Before we define what cyber threat intelligence is, it is important for us to define or to look at the word intelligence. What does it mean? We're not going to define the whole concept of intelligence, but we will look at the important elements. And those elements are collection, evaluation, analysis, integration, and interpretation of all available information. So you collect, you evaluate, you analyze, you integrate, and you interpret all available information. And once you do that, the next step is to kind of customize that information to your particular needs. And then once you customize that, then you use that information to make decisions. So that is what intelligence is about. And intelligence can be used in governments, it can be used in private companies, it can be used even in your personal life. But for what concerns us, we are talking about cyber threat intelligence. We understand that when we use computers or when we use electronic devices, there is information that those gadgets create, the information that they store, logs that are created every time we use those tools. And so, and those, that data is useful when we are looking to understand what's going on around us, because other people are using those gadgets, and some of them are using those gadgets for nefarious purposes. And so we need to understand what's going on so that we can prepare ourselves and try to avoid any surprises or any bad consequences happening to us. So that's why we engage or we do cyber threat intelligence. And that leads us to the next slide, which is about the purpose of cyber threat intelligence. So why do we talk about cyber threat intelligence? Cyber threat intelligence helps us understand our environment or the environment in which we are operating and how that environment might affect our operations or our overall goals. For example, if our goal is to make money, we need to understand everything that's happening around us that may either prevent us from making money or that may help us make more money. So that is intelligence. That's why we collect cyber threat intelligence. And when we do that, we look to understand who our adversaries are and what their capabilities are. And we need to know who our competitors are. We need to know what hackers are looking to do or are doing in our environment. We need to know if nation states are looking to spy on us, etc. We also need to understand why those people are doing what they do. Are they looking for money? Are they looking for intellectual property? Are they looking to destabilize us, or are they just spying? We also need to understand or to get an idea on the tools and techniques they use and find out whether they've been successful in the past in collecting information on other people. So that's the purpose of why we engage into cyber threat intelligence. Now that we've talked about the purpose of cyber threat intelligence, let's look at the products that can be used to collect and analyze and do all that cyber threat collection process. So we have different products here, as you can see: IBM X-Force Exchange, Anomaly Threat Stream, and the rest. There are so many. This is not an exhaustive list. For the sake of our presentation, I selected one product or one platform that I thought will be that can be beneficial for us, that we can use to secure our organization. And that product that I selected is called Alien Vault Unified Security Management. So what does that product address? What need does that product address? So Alien Vault, or it's also called USM, provides SIEM. It provides vulnerability assessment, asset discovery, network and host intrusion detection, endpoint detection and response, flow and packet capture, and file integrity monitoring, as well as centralized configuration and management. That's a lot. And I know that when it comes to the C-suite, most people are interested in knowing how much does it cost, what's the return on investment. I'm getting there. So the study determined that customers deploying USM anywhere would save more than $40,000 annually in threat intelligence expense and realize a 6 times return on investment over a 3-year period. So you get, or you realize, a 6 times return on investment over a 3-year period. Not bad. What's the cost of ownership? So you can buy a subscription, and there are 3 different levels. There is Essential, which is at $1,075 per month. There is Standard, $1,695 per month, and the Premium, which is $2,595 per month. So that is the product that I would recommend for our company. Now, once we know the product and we have determined the one we want for our company, now let's start looking a little bit deeper and try to do an adversarial assessment to see who our competitors are and who their top executives are. What are they working on? Do they have a technology that might disturb our environment? So this is something that we need to do. And in doing that, it's important not to leave any trace. In other words, not letting them know what we are doing or what kind of information we are looking on them. Because if they find out, then they will hide information. And once we know who our adversaries are, then we need to figure out our sources. Where do we get information? We get our information from different sources. And among those, you have vendors. These are reputable companies with verifiable track record of success in the field of cybersecurity or cyber intelligence collection. You have companies such as Microsoft. You have companies such as Apple and those, or Google, those like them. You also have government agencies such as the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, etc. They also have, or they are also sources of cyber threat intelligence. You also have private companies that specialize in cyber threat intelligence. So those are different places or different entities we can choose from to get or to collect our cyber threat intelligence. Now, there is a process in that hackers or attackers use to do their job. And it's important for us to understand that process. There is Lockheed Martin developed a 7-step process that hackers use to conduct their activities. And those 7 steps are reconnaissance, weaponization, delivery, exploitation, installation, command and control, and actions on objectives. So these are 7 steps, and you can see, for example, in reconnaissance, the attacker is gathering information on his or her target. In this phase, the enemy or the attacker is looking to understand who the target is and how can they access the system of that attacker. And then they weaponize and then deliver and all those other steps that we talked about. And so once we know the steps that attackers follow, it may be easier for us to prepare and defend against the attacks. So how do we defend against the cyber kill chain? Security, for the most part, is doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done. Like putting in place policies that limit sharing of company-sensitive information on social media platforms and other public domains. Update and patch software and other programs whenever it is necessary. Invest in state-of-the-art equipment to monitor network in order to detect all unusual activities. It's when we don't do our due diligence, when we don't monitor the activities on our network, when we don't see what's happening in real time, that's when we become vulnerable. That's when the enemy find the upper hand. They're able to do us real damage, to cause us damage. So it's important to invest in good equipment to monitor and detect all unusual activities. So we also need a capable manpower to detect phishing techniques, to detect all the means and ways that the enemy or the attacker is looking to trap us. So if we have a capable staff and we have a state-of-the-art equipment and our software and programs are up to date and our policies are working to empower our people, then we will be strong enough to resist any attacks that the enemy may bring our way. So let's take a few minutes to look at recent cases of cyber attacks. In this case, I talked about 2 different cases. The first one is the attack on the Philippines Commission on Election, which took place in 2016. So who were the attackers? A group known as Anonymous. And why did they attack? They wanted to persuade the commission to switch on security features in vote counting machines ahead of national elections. So this group wasn't looking for money. This group wasn't looking for vengeance. This group wasn't looking for intellectual property. They just wanted to warn the government to take precautions and to safeguard the voters' data. And then there is an attack on Indian banks in 2016. The attackers are unknown. And why did they attack? They wanted money. It was financial gain. And how did they attack? They used phishing techniques to breach their target systems. And so this is why I talked about training our staff to detect and understand techniques of criminals and avoid them.